The Quran has verses that say, Your Allah and our Allah, or Your Lord and our Lord. What are these verses addressing, and are they accurately translated from their original Arabic?
It is a great pity, but an unfortunate necessity, that I have to repeat again and again and again, that invariably the Muhammadan translators of the Quran to any language deliberately pervert, change, or modify the actual meaning of many important words, expressions, or concepts to suit their agenda of converting as many people to the cult of Muhammadan Islam as possible by the use of deception and or misinformation. Those of our listeners who have read the Quran may have noticed the enormous number of occasions that the translators found it necessary to resort to putting explanations within parentheses at the beginning, middle, or end of many sentences. This they had to do because of the ambiguity of many verses or words in the Quran, or because of the blatant grammatical or lexical errors in its Arabic language original. I must make it clear that even the Arabic verses do not always make complete sense without these explanations. So much for the allegedly perfect Arabic of the Quran. Because of time constraints, I can recite only a few of the numerous other such examples. Al-Anbiya 21.108. Say, what has come to me by inspiration is that your Allah, ilahakum, is one Allah, ilahan wahid. Will ye therefore bow to his will in Islam? Wa antum muslimun. The translator of this verse deliberately used the wrong word to mislead and or deceive the unwary listeners. In the verse above, the name Allah is not mentioned. The word ilah, meaning God, or ilahakum, meaning your God, is used. In this manner, the generally totally ignorant readers and or listeners of the Arabic language would then associate the name of the supreme rock, God of the Kaaba, Allah, with the God of Israel and Jesus, when in fact this is not the case. This perversion of translation is repeated in the following verses also. Al-Ankabut 29.46. And dispute ye not with the people of the book, except with means better, but say, we believe in the revelation which has come down to us, and in that which came down to you. Our Allah, ilahuna, and your Allah, ilahukum, is one, and it is to him we bow in Islam. وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. Al-Saffat 37.4. Verily, your Allah, ilahakum, is one. In the verses above, the name Allah is again not mentioned in the original Arabic. The words ilah or ilahakum are used that actually mean God. Muhammad and his followers metamorphosed the pagan rock god of the Quraysh into the God of Israel and Jesus. As we have demonstrated earlier in chapter 3, if Allah did actually mean God in the language of the Arabs, then their shahada, which is the recitation of the witness verses that confirm and or convert people to Muhammadan Islam, would have been La ilah illa al-ilah, meaning there is no God except God, instead of La ilah illallah, meaning there is no God but Allah. Hence, obviously, calling the name of the rock god Allah. This is of course not different from the names that the pagan Romans, Greeks, Babylonians, etc. gave to their gods and goddesses, such as Jupiter, Zeus, Aphrodite, Ishtar, Inanna, and hundreds of others. These were not God, but the names of pagan gods. To confirm our statements even more, the supreme pagan rock god of Muhammad and his tribe, the Quraysh, Allah, had 3 daughters, who had the names Al-Uzza, Al-Lat, and Al-Manat. If Allah were the God of Israel and Jesus, there would have obviously not been any daughters or other gods associated with him. All the above statements are not culled from Christian or Zionist anti-Muhammadan propaganda, but are based entirely on the records as written by their own exegetes and historians. I would like now to address the enormous number of cases wherein the translators of the perfect Quran had to resort to adding explanations within parentheses to explain the otherwise crystal clear meaning of the verses of the Quran. Al-Baqarah 2.138. Our religion is the baptism of Allah, and who can baptize better than Allah? And it is He whom we worship. In Arabic it is Sibghat Allahi وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَّ اللَّهِ صِبْغَةً. The translator had to put in parenthesis at the beginning of this verse, our religion is. Al-Baqarah 2.113. The Jews say, the Christians have naught to stand upon, and the Christians say, the Jews have naught to stand upon. Yet they profess to study the same book. First and foremost, the Quran is wrong as usual, since Christianity is based upon its foundations in the Hebrew Bible plus the New Testament, and the differences between the Jews and the Christians are about the interpretation of the concept of the Messiah as accepted by Christians, otherwise they both believe in the same Bible. In the verse above, the translator had to use explanations within parentheses 4 times. Al-Baqarah 2.63. And remember, we took your covenant and we raised above you the towering height of Mount Sinai, saying, hold firmly to what we have given you and bring ever to remembrance what is therein, perchance you may fear Allah. In the original Arabic, the name of Mount Sinai is not mentioned. We raised above you the towering height of Mount Sinai is translated from the original Arabic. وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ الْطُورَ. The word Sinai is not mentioned, but Al-Tur is. What was in Muhammad's mind when he used the word Al-Tur? The Muhammadan philologists recognize that Tur is a foreign loanword, not Arabic in origin, by such luminaries as Al-Suyuti, Al-Jawaliqi, and Ibn Qutaybah. In Hebrew, it is Tur. In Aramaic, Turah. And in the Hebrew Targums, Mount Sinai is called Tur Sinai. Muhammad, as was his forte, plagiarized and associated the word Tur with Mount Sinai based upon the traditions of the Judaized Arabs of the Arabian Peninsula. Al-Baqarah 2.93. And remember, we took your covenant and we raised above you the towering height of Mount Sinai. وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ الْطُورَ. Al-Nisa 4.154. And for their covenant we raised over them the towering height of Mount Sinai. وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَهُمْ الْطُورَ. Maryam 19.52. And we called him from the right side of Mount Sinai, جانب الطور اليمني. Taha 20.80. O ye children of Israel, we delivered you from your enemy and we made a covenant with you on the side of Mount Sinai, جانب الطور اليمني, and we sent down to you manna and quails. In all of the above verses, the name Sinai is not mentioned, but only Al-Tur. Translator deliberately replaced it with the name Mount Sinai without putting them in parentheses, thus identifying them as his own explanations. Al-Mu'minun 23.20. Also a tree springing out of Mount Sinai, Tur Sinai, which produces oil and relish for those who use it for food. Al-Tin 95.2. And the mount of Sinai, Watur Sinina. Ladies and gentlemen, be aware that Muhammad loved to play with words and his Quran is full of them. Words that he plundered, plagiarized, pirated and or perverted from the Syriac, Aramaic, Ethiopic, Hebrew, Greek and Persian languages, as well as words that he himself invented to rhyme with his verses. His followers, emulating his Sunnah, have been continuing this process for the last 1400 years unto this day.